Всем привет! Today we are going to take a look at the floor final at the 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul. An interesting final, I would say. This was the last major event under this code of points. I think the judges got a bit carried away. They actually were kind of crazy throughout the entire Olympics, but I think this floor final saw new heights in terms of outrageous scoring. Here were the standings going into the floor final. Remember, this was old life, meaning the gymnasts took their scores from compulsories and optionals. That total, the top 8 gymnasts, of course 2 per country, would qualify into the event finals. That score was then divided by half, and their score from the actual event finals would be added to that total to come up with their final score. And as you can see, Shushunova and Silivaș were tied for the lead going into the final. First up was American Phoebe Mills, who had just come off of a somewhat surprise bronze medal on beam where she had tied with Gabriela Poltorak.
Mills is up first. Adams Family and Red River Valley, the combination music she'll use.
And her opening tumbling run is going to be a full-in pike.
So Phoebe Mills is using the Adams Family, as you heard Dick Ginberg.
Right.
Pike full in mount, good landing. Now, ooh, that was not good amplitude on that leap. Phoebe trained under Karoli. I don't know if Geza Pojar did this routine, but I just do not think the choreography is very good. There's not a lot of flow to these movements.
This should be a whip through to a double back.
Again, she lands short on that. She did some annoying skills such as a double back where she would do a tuck in the first somersault and a pike in the second one. I really did not like that. And she does the same thing again for this dismount. Way over-rotated and went out of bounds.
Yeah, she had trouble earlier in landing.
So her score after that out-of-bounds ejection is a 9.762. Shockingly, she got a couple of 9.9s. I don't get it. I would say the difficulty was good or decent, but the choreography was not my favorite. The landings, the mount was okay, but the other 2 landings were just off. Not the best routine. And that's kind of going to be a theme for a lot of these routines during this final. Exhaustion is the word of the day.
From Sofia.
Up next is Dudeva, who was ironically tied with Phoebe Mills in 5th place going into the final. She mounts with a double layout. Very difficult pass for 1988. Not the best height, but she salvages the landing and has a pretty good landing on that. Now the Bulgarians are known, or were known, for their very creative choreography. And Delyana has great choreography in this routine. A little bit of a pause there, but she has lots of difficulty. Piked full in for her middle pass. Again, very solid landing. It's a nice switch leap, much better than we saw from Phoebe Mills. I love the delay in that double turn. And I would say her choreography isn't quite as good as some of her teammates, but it's still very solid and amongst the best in this final. She dismounts with a whip through to a double pike. Lots of difficulty. I love the little crawl on the floor there. Nice ending. Great routine for Delyana. You can see she's so happy. I think she probably outdid her expectations. I think if I were judging this, I probably would have this at a 9.95. It was very solid, and that is her score, a 9.95. Great routine from Delyana, which puts her into the lead for the moment. And next up, tied for 7th going into the final, is Dudeva's teammate, Delyana Vodenicharova. She was the youngest gymnast in this final, and she would go on to compete in the 1992 Barcelona Olympics as well. And she has the most difficulty in the final. Watch this double layout. Beautiful amplitude on that switch leap. The double layout was nice. She had a bit of a hip angle on that second salto, but again, this is 1988. Double layouts were few and far between. And this is kind of a hoedown. Choreographically, I don't like this routine quite as much as Dudeva's, but the difficulty is just so impressive. Triple full middle run. Those leaps aren't the most impressive, but she has good presentation. You can see her selling this routine. There's a double turn as she runs to the corner for her dismount, setting it up for that. And she's going to do the hardest dismount in the final. Pike full in. Great landing. Great routine from Delyana.
A bit of a hoedown. It gets great applause.
You can see her teammates are so happy for her. Here's that double layout. You can see a little bit piked down at the end.
And she makes this element look deceptively easy. One twist.
Yep, I totally agree with Mitch. She made this look so easy, this triple twist. A little bit across legs, but all the way around.
Fantastic power tumbling.
And then this dismount piked full in.
What other way to finish?
Little bit, her legs are akimbo. Little bit of knees, but good effort for 1988. I would probably have this at a 9.95, same as Delyana. And she counted 110, her score is 9.962. Even though she scored higher than Delyana in the final, because of the carryover, she is behind Delyana into second place currently. So spoiler alert, the Bulgarians pretty much have the best routines of the final, so it's kind of going to be downhill from here. Up next is Dörte Thümmler from East Germany. Dörte was in third place going into the final, so she was definitely in medal contention. And this is actually one of my favorite routines choreographically of the final. It's very unique. Very well-rounded, well-blended. Mounting with a full in, but way over-rotated. She had to put her hands down. It looked like she went out of bounds as well. Very unfortunate. But she is non-stop during this routine. I love the turns. She does so many turns. It's a combination run. Front tuck through a full punch front. Into a double full. Very nice. Beautiful amplitude on that straddle jump. I love that. That connection. It's almost like a variation on a wolf turn. Very interesting. Double tuck. She keeps good form on that with her legs together, no cowboy. But she was a little bit crooked and off balance on the landing. Here's another look at that mount. You can see she's just pushing a little bit too hard. lands with her feet underneath her. Very unfortunate because, like I said, she definitely could have medaled
Front somersault.
had this routine gone well.
To tumble into a floor twisting back somersault. An immediate punch front.
And again, she had finished just off the podium on bars, so she would leave these Olympics without any individual medals, which is very unfortunate. You can see her score is a 9.6, which is crazy considering that error. I'm not sure. That hand down was probably considered maybe a 3/10 deduction. So if you take that into consideration, you can see how they came up with a 9.6. But a lot of these scores seem too high. So I'm not positive where Beata Storczer competed in this final, but I think she was up 5th. So that is where we're going to watch her. She is from... And her music is To the Rite of Spring by Stravinsky, who of course we would see Olga Strasheva use the following year. Mounting with a full in, but you could see way out of control and out of bounds. This is another one of my favorite routines choreographically. It's very unique. Beata is a gymnast I was not really familiar with prior to this final. Bit of a pause there before this middle pass. She's a layout in, pike out. So like Phoebe Mills, a double salto with 2 different positions. Ooh, not good amplitude on that switch leap. Layout punch front, and she goes right into a tuck double back. Not a lot of speed. My favorite part is this ending. That's great. Shame about that mount. And with that out of bounds, Beata scores a 9.8. She was tied for 7th going into the final, so obviously that's not going to help her get onto the podium. And next up are the co-leaders. First up is Silivaș. And both she and Yelena Shushunova scored a 10 on floor during the
This
all-around.
routine is such a delight. Let's just sit back and watch.
Here's her full-in mount, but you can see she lands short and has to take a big step forward. And while Silivaș's optional routine is not at the level of her compulsory, it's still a very solid routine. Very, I would say, good choreography. Here's a double full punch front. Through to another double full punch front. Ooh, but you can see she was under-rotated there as well. Had to take a step back. Definitely a bit fatigued. Not as crisp as in the all-around. And at this point, she had won gold on both bars and beams, so she was trying to make it a hat trick. I mean, the choreography is very playful. She has great presentation. Not as much difficulty as the Bulgarians though. Just a tuck double back dismount. Best landing of the 3. Very solid. But those landings, should be accounted for. I would have this at a 9.9. And let's take another look at this mount. She's a little bit low, very low. That's a noticeable and obvious step forward. Her score is 9.987, meaning she counted 3 10s. That is insane to me considering those landing errors that we saw. But obviously she goes into the lead with 2 gymnasts left. Next up is Yelena Shushunova. And I would say, other than Boginskaya, this is my favorite routine choreographically in the final. It's just so magnetic, magnificent, a work of art. Mounts with a full in. Oof. But very similar to Dörte Thümmler. Very short. Almost had to put her hands down. So that landing right there pretty much takes her out of contention for the gold. But just watch this choreography. It's so refined and elegant. The spirit hands. I just love it. It's put together so wonderfully. Here's her trademark. Oof. But she sits it down. To her credit, she's still selling it after making two huge mistakes. Dismount, tuck double back. Pretty good landing. And there's her trademark Shushunova. But obviously very, very exhausted after pulling out the all-around in such a dramatic fashion. I'm sure that was so taxing on her. But it definitely affected her in event finals, both on vault and here on floor. And then on this middle run, she does a side somersault in and then 1 3/4 rollout, but she just sits it down. Nowadays, obviously, that would be considered a fall and a 5/10 deduction. Back in '88, the scoring was not like that. She still scores a 9.625 despite those two huge problems. That's insanity to me. So up last is Svetlana Boginskaya. Due to the carryover, she was in 4th place. I don't think she had any chance at the gold medal due to Silivaș being overscored at a 9.987. So this was her just trying to get the silver medal. And if you'll remember, or you might not remember, she won the gold medal on the vault because Shushunova fell on her double twisting Yurchenko. For me, this is the class of the final. Bizet's Carmen. An incredible achievement in choreography. Full in mount. Perfect. All the intricacies in these movements. So creative. So unique. Just a marvel. Love those moves on her back. Love that look over her shoulder before her middle run. 1.5 twist step out through a double full punch front. Another perfect landing. I love how this routine builds the choreography with the music. Dismount relatively simple, front through a double full, but good form and a perfect landing. Phenomenal. Definitely, they saved the best for last. I would say this was the best routine of the final in terms of choreography. She didn't have the difficulty of the Bulgarians, but I would say that the choreography was definitely superior. Unfortunately, she had a mental block on her double back dismount at this time, so she was unable to do it. And she really needed that to be the most competitive. So I would say because she wasn't able to do that dismount, I would have this at a 9.95, the same as I would have Dudeva and Vodenicharova. But the judges give her a 9.975, which is of course good enough for silver behind Silivaș. And there's her late coach, Lyubov Nurmanova. Such a shame she passed away just days after these games. So one of the problems with Old Life, and I talked about this a little bit in my bars video, is that the competition was almost over before it started. I'm really glad they got rid of Old Life. I think it was too dependent on things that had happened prior in the competition in terms of the team score. The gymnasts not from the top federations were definitely at a disadvantage because they competed earlier, so their scores were lower. Because as we all know, the scores get higher as you go on. So, like a Hungarian like Beata Storczer, she was definitely at a disadvantage. Or you saw, Iveta Polakova, those gymnasts were not able to get the same scores as the Soviets, and the Romanians were in the final, rotation in the team optionals. I think the big controversy that people have with this final is Dudeva getting the bronze medal over Vodenicharova. Again, Vodenicharova was in 7th place going into this final. So if we take a look at the final standings, we have Silivaș with the gold, Boginskaya silver, and Dudeva with the bronze. So if Vodenicharova had scored a 9.975, she would have tied Dudeva for the bronze. I think a lot of people would have been happy with that, but because she only scored a 9.962, she ended up 4th behind Dudeva. Personally, I preferred Dudeva's routine choreographically, so I'm okay with Dudeva winning bronze over Delyana, and I had their routines in finals scored the exact same at 9.95. So to me, these results are not that controversial. My big problem was the way Silivaș was overscored. So if Silivaș had been scored more accurately, there's a chance that Boginskaya could have tied or even won the floor exercise gold. But again, Boginskaya just did not quite have the difficulty that you want to see from a floor champion. So overall, I'm okay with Silivaș winning the gold, but I don't think she should have won by that margin. And again, it was such a shame to see Shushunova struggle in the vault and floor finals like this. She was just, again, spent, I think, after that all-around gold. But I think she would definitely take that all-around gold over either the vault or floor golds. As always, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Please comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, loves.